Okay.
So good evening. I'm very happy to have everybody here, and I want to introduce our wonderful speaker guide tonight, Howard J. Rubin, who for the past 30 years studied and taught from the well springs of the Jewish spiritual tradition. For over a decade, Howard taught classes on Jewish mysticism at a Center for Interfaith Studies, which led the Jewish Journal to dub him the Rabbi of Agape. Agape is a spiritual center that's not specific to any religion. And there's actually a Center for Spiritual Living here as well in Riverside. So welcome
same type of movement.
Yeah. Welcome everybody. And I will hand the floor over to Howard.
Great. Well, let's see. I'd rather see everybody else than me. So let's see if I can.
You have to go to gallery view.
Gallery view. Let me do that. I've seen me. All right.
You know where that is? And on the upper right hand.
I got it. Okay. All right. Well, good evening. The topic on the floor is counting the Omer. And it's something that I just love. I just love it. It's almost an obsession at this point. And so I'm really happy to talk about it and share it. So first, now we have chats here, don't we, Rabbi?
Yeah, we do.
So I want to collect any questions we have. This is going to be pretty informal. So if any questions that come to mind about counting the Omer at this point that you might have, if you can phrase them, put them in the chat. And then I'm going to ask that a couple more times. And then we're just going to go into answering and talking about whatever questions came up. And we need a minimum of 4 questions, of course. I'm not going to read them yet. I just want to look at everybody. Well, hi. I'm Melissa, Ezra, Carol, Sandy, people that I don't see, and Renfo. I'm sure that's an abbreviation. Anyway, welcome. All right. And you can feel free to put in any questions if they came up. It's just all along. And then I'll ask the rabbi what they are later. Okay. So first, I just want to say as background, well, there's an idea that I've come across somewhere that everyone has their own personal mitzvah, the thing that's really kind of their thing to do. And I know that from a mitzvah point of view, there's many or all that one should do, but this will be mine. So this is the third year that each day of the Count of the Omer, I've written about it. Started with an email list of about 15 people in a group that Jason and I were in, meditation chanting group over at the temple. And then last year it was more, and I added a Facebook group. This year I added a website and a blog and all sorts of things like that. Oh, by the way, and so anything that I'm going to say is probably better edited for the first couple of days on soulstreamers.com. Soul Streamers, one word, SUL streamers, or .net or .org, any of those. And so that's a resource that will be available all throughout. And if you want to have these reminders and insights about it, you can look at them on there. You can subscribe to there. You can get on my email list. You can get on the Facebook group. So that's the open invitation, because I know it said in the announcement that we'd have resources available, and indeed they will be. Hi, Claire, my dog just came in. All right. Okay. So counting the Omer. Well, has anybody counted the Omer last night? Got one? Nobody would object. Let's do it. We're in the day where we would have counted day 1, and this may bring up some questions. And I'll give you, and I've got an instruction sheet that I call Day Zero on the website. And so I'll go by that because I think they're good instructions. And it's a little, it's not exactly, okay, the normal instructions that come from in the Torah, it says, you shall count these days. And I don't know exactly what it says, but between the second day of Pesach and Shavuot, those 49 days. But it doesn't really say how or even necessarily why. And then I'm giving you a preamble. And then as the centuries went on, the rabbis, as they are wont to, came up with some of the how-to. And one level of the how-to came from the ancient Kabbalists, the Jewish mystics. And they said, you know what? These 49 days, they work really well. And we believe that they're correlated with 7 of the qualities, what I call soul streams, 7 of the qualities on the Jewish Kabbalistic tree of life, which is okay. You see, I'm getting too complicated. They said there are different spiritual qualities that we can look at, and each day, let's look at one of the qualities, because there are 7 weeks. We'll look at 7 qualities and have one quality of one of the 7 each week. I'll go back into that in a minute. I said that confusingly. Another set of rabbis looked at it and said, it doesn't say this in the Torah, but let's map this onto the time between crossing the Red Sea and coming to Mount Sinai for the revelation of Mount Sinai. So putting it all together, we have a recreation, and to me, it's in an inward way, in a personal way. A recreation of the children of Israel leaving Mitzrayim, leaving slavery, and heading toward freedom. And the stop of freedom, the first big stop, was to have a direct revelation, direct connection with the divine, what we know as revelation Mount Sinai. Now, to me, all of this is an inner thing, because that's how I think. You know, my degree was in Jungian psychology from Duke back then, and that's the way I look at things spiritually. So the metaphysical approach of interpreting Torah and most other things as parts of oneself is what makes sense to me. So it's what I like to share. Okay, that was not as simple as I intended it to be. So more simple. The mitzvah, as it's known, say we're speaking to Chabad, they say, well, what you have to do is you need to say the blessing every night at sunset for these 49 days. And if you say the blessing, you've done the mitzvah. So let's do it together for day 1. Now, a Jewish day starts in the evening. And so it's always on the second day of Passover. And that was last night. So last night at sunset was the first day of counting the Omer. And that day is continuing now until sunset tonight. So we're right in the right place for it. My desire before I count the Omer is to put the last day to bed, basically. Not literally to bed, because I'm not going to sleep yet, but to say, done. I would like to take the day that's just gone by, put my to-do list aside, push it off the table, and say, okay, whatever was done, I want to acknowledge it was done, and it was well done as I could do it. And it's done. If there's anything important enough to carry on to the next day, sure, I'll put it on tomorrow's to-do list. But I want to enter this present moment to bless the day that's about to come and not carry the last day with me. So I consider step 1 of counting the Omer to be blessing the day that was past and letting it go. Does that sound clear? Excellent. Step 2, we bless the day. Now, I'm actually looking at my website here just because it's thinking clearer than I may be at the moment, where I wrote saying the counting the Omer blessing And I recommend saying it in Hebrew. Why? Because my experience is that Hebrew is what you call in American spiritual slang a mantric language. It's a language where the very sounds themselves have an effect on our consciousness. Hard to prove empirically, but I've experienced that enough, and I believe Jason in the chanting at very least would back up an experience of that. So while it's most important, I think, to know what you're saying and to say it from your heart, I mean, that's to activate this mitzvah. I like saying it in Hebrew and then in English. And the actual words of a blessing in Hebrew, if we ever get a chance to study them together, it's so much depth in every word. The word Baruch takes me an hour to speak of clearly, to speak of in the depth that I'd like to. So I won't try that. So I'll say the blessing. If you know it, say it with me. Don't have to have your sound on, or you can. And if you don't, I'll say it slow enough that you could repeat it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al seferat haomer. And then we continue by counting what day it is. Literally, we're counting the days. Today is day one, week one, day one of counting the Omer. We're done. We have counted the Omer for day one. We have done the mitzvah. Okay, I gotta at least translate mitzvah for my own mind right now, because I'm saying that, because I don't know if I'm sounding like I'm in Chabad or I'm sounding like I'm being something else, but I'll tell you what it is to me. A mitzvah is to me a connecting action, a way to connect with, I call it the divine. You use whatever name you want. You could even say connecting with yourself in this present moment. It's an opportunity to connect. Oh, wait, I knew I said it better here. As I write, that translation doesn't begin to do justice to what you're saying. And I have my own translation here. The translation of what we said, and mine is not the definitive one, is, O infinite one, source of all, only power, you are an ever-flowing fountain of blessings, hidden within this present moment, giving me this opportunity to connect with you and with all that is in holiness. By this connecting action, this opportunity to connect, of counting the Omer. So, and that moves me just to say that. That's some of the depth that's hidden in the words and in the potential of getting reconnected with whatever level of depth reconnection can mean to you. Self, soul, moment, God, your loved one, reconnection. And then in my instructions, my best understanding, I like to continue the blessing just by saying whatever your own words of blessing are. So I'll tell you the role model that I wrote down here, which is, I bless this new day as a wondrous day filled with many moments of connection, love, and understanding. Today, I will truly make this day count as an opportunity to grow, deeply experience, and richly share. And I guess the key phrase to me is making this day count. My code phrase for what is counting the Omer, it's setting the attention to make each day count. In the deepest way, it makes sense to you, to me, to you. And so when I'm doing it, after putting the last day to bed, after saying the blessing in Hebrew, after extending to myself, I want to set an intention, what I'd like this next day to be about. So as I wrote it out in a set of instructions, I said, let me fill in the blank. Today, what I intend to be, how I intend to be is, and what I intend to do is. just putting that energy forward, propelling it into the day. Now you don't have to do it yet. You're going to go to sleep before the whole day starts, but you've started. You've set your intention on how you want to live, what you want to do, and to me, that can make all the difference. Example: I have always been a writer, but I have rarely written for the last 20 or 30 years. A little bit of a paradox there. And part of the reason was because I think perfectionist, and I would write under stress. I would literally do all-nighters, in college. That's the way I wrote. It was not sustainable for me. And so I've been getting a little better in this, the third year of doing writing every day to publish as insights on counting the Omer, in case they're helpful. And this year, I have the intention that I'm not going to do it in stress. And so far, we're up to 3 writings so far, days 0, 1, and 2. I just finished before we started. So far, I've been able to be in a flow and enjoy writing. So I'm going to credit that for this pedantic moment, as from the intention to do so. And that's what I believe. Okay, so we've counted the Omer. We've talked a little bit about where it came from. Oh, okay, there's one other level that we better at least start on. The tree of life, the map of 10 qualities that the Kabbalists use to say these are the energies that create the universe, have created and created in every second. Is this a familiar concept? Those I can see. If it's a familiar concept, raise a hand, would you? Somewhat, all right. Well, I didn't. Rabbi asked whether I wanted slides, and we certainly could have put up the standard slides of counting the Omer, of the tree of life, but
I can put something up if you want.
Well, no.
No? Okay.
It quickly gets so complex that I'm happy to do it if we have the time to get that complex, but I'd like to at least start simpler. And that's actually what I've been doing for this last 6 months, something like that. I started counting the Omer about 6 months ago because in my personal obsession with trying to find a way to explain it and make it simpler, I wanted to try to get through as much of the complexity as possible. Not in my own head, but in the way I talk about it. So I realized that if I take these 7 qualities, they're called Sephirot in the Tree of Life. If I take these 7 and I look at what are they accessibly? What are these qualities that we're looking to touch each week? It became a lot simpler. I saw that week 1, I'm trying to touch and grow in love. Wow, that's something I can try to do. No? Week 2, strength. Week 3, compassion. Now, each of these have more nuances than that, but this I find works. And then we can get into nuances if we want to. Week 4, Netzach, power. Week 5, Hod, peace. Looking to grow in peace. Week 6, Yesod, joy. I'm looking to connect with and grow in joy. And week 7, the point of the whole darn thing, freedom. I'm looking to experience and grow in freedom. And my understanding from having spent this time looking at it is that this sequence of weeks, if I can immerse myself in the intention and the action to try to grow in love the first week, love, peace, joy, compassion, and eventually, etc., and eventually power, eventually strength, eventually freedom, I'm building a ladder, we'll call it. And by the time I get to freedom, I'm in good shape. I'm in good shape for it. And why is freedom the prevailing metaphor? Because that's what the whole thing is about. Passover, slavery to freedom on an inner level, from what inner slavery is, which is basically trapped in our own minds, to be simple, and our own conditioned patterns and limitations, from inner slavery to inner freedom. Who was it? I guess it's many people. I guess Napoleon Hill said, there's only one thing we have control over, that God has given us control over, and that is the ability to choose what we do with our minds. And he says, if that's all we were given, I have a feeling that's pretty important. So to me, that's one way to talk about what freedom, the path to freedom. And I know this is a tall order in any mystical tradition or spiritual tradition or meditative tradition. We're working every day to try to get more and more glimpses of this freedom. So that's what I want to do. I think that's probably enough stuff to put on the table. So let's for the moment. So let's see if questions have been written, and if new ones come up, and we could just go to discussion now. Rabbi,
there was a question from Aaron about the other three Sfirot, which I tried to answer, but you probably have another take on it. And I also put in a Wikipedia link for the Sfirot if anybody wants to look at it.
See how quickly it gets deep and complicated? Yes. The other three, there's really four, but there's only three. Okay. If you go to my site, you'll see it there, or anywhere, or any map. On my site, the map is kind of nice because I put those single words in, and so you'd understand the basic what I'm saying. But anyway, the top three, which look like four on the map, are thought of as too subtle to work with in this way. I don't necessarily agree. In my obsession, I think I'd like to make a 100-day path that includes each of those, because that's what it would take. But in the mystical thought, they think of these 7 lower qualities as tied into our emotions and our, as Jason would point out, our midot, our virtues. Is that a good word, Jason? Our
characteristics,
the things we like to work on ourselves. Yeah, virtues is kind of nice. It's a big word, but kind of a nice word.
That's what Ben Franklin called them. Very similar, actually.
Nice. Well, he was a wonderful rascal, so I'll go with that. The top 3 are wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. They're mental and above. They're like divine. The top one, Keter, which I did not just say in English, means crown. And that's just way beyond anything that our rational minds can take in. Call it it's mapped onto the crown chakra, onto the top of the head. It'd be the input place for what is beyond what we need to input. So, but the next 3, which are centered here, and well, dots kind of in many places, think of them as the mental, spiritual/mental qualities, and that the 7 that we're using are the emotional/physical qualities. That was a much simpler explanation than everything I said before. That's it. Emotional and physical, and we're not dealing with the mental, spiritual so much.
That's good.
Thanks.
And I like your definition of a mitzvah too.
It works. Yeah, it's from the word. As you probably know, it's from the word. The Hebrew word has that root of connection in it. I think I don't know Hebrew well enough to know what the word is, but I know this is the case. Okay. Anything else written in the chat?
Let's see. I don't think so.
Cool. Then what do you all want to talk about? You just unmute and bring anything up. We'll talk about it. Oh, and if we run out, if we want to, we can actually look at the qualities of day one as a, as a way to start looking at how that stuff works.
Well, I guess the question is, so how do we work on all these different qualities? Just sit there and decide I'm going to be better at love or compassion or whatever? Or, I mean, are there techniques?
Yes. Yes, there are. There are probably 5 or 6 or more manuals to count in the Omer out there. None of them work for me as well. None of them are the ones that I would write. So I'm writing one. So my specific answers you'll find on that website for day 0 and day 1, and every day I'll be putting out what I think the best exercises are and the best way to do it. But Rabbi, the first thing would be to look at what am I working on? What am I working on today? And to get a little more specific, in the first week, we're working on love all week. And in each of the 7 days of a week, we're looking at one of those qualities within love, one aspect of love. So in day 1, which we're in, we're asking ourselves, how can I work on really pure love within love? Because it's the one day in a week when it's the same quality inside itself. The way that I find to clearly write about it this year, and the way I experience it, especially on those double days, love in love, is I think of the most love that I can experience, my experience of love, and place it with and see it within a larger love. I call it a soul stream of love, because it's somewhere beyond in what we call the divine and the infinite. It's in my soul, the higher version of myself, and it's in whatever level of love that I'm able to experience, as contracted or as minimal as it might be. I see this all as one stream. That's why I like the soul stream metaphor. One stream from my experience out to beyond what's imaginable. And my conviction, and I know it's not provable, it's a mystical conviction, is that there is an infinite stream of love, infinite potential, and I'm looking to tap into it. So that's how I see love within love on the first day. And rather than think, let me look at the exercises that I put for day 1, because I probably believe in them. Okay, how do I work this blog?
Somebody, Renfo, whoever that is, wrote, after studying Sfirot for a few weeks, it's becoming clear to me my Zoom skills are 0. That's very good.
That's very good. Well, hi. That's okay. I'm glad you chimed in with your presence. I appreciate that.
Maybe you need a week of counting Zoom skills.
That would be week 0. We'll have to do the whole week. Okay. So let me tell you, if I don't really believe in reading things, because I spent last night seeing live jam band. I believe in live, but I'll read a little if you'll indulge me here. Except I just closed it. Speaking of technological skills. And what I'm going over, by the way, you're already on this screen. You don't need to look at another screen. That's right. It's all on soulstreamers.net or .com, whatever. Okay. So this week, we immerse ourselves in the soul stream of love. Each of these 7 weeks of counting the Omer are illuminated by one shining spiritual quality from the tree of life. During week 1, Chesed is our guiding light. That's the first one. Glowing with the warmth of loving kindness. On the tree of life diagram, you'll see it mapped on the right shoulder, as it's an energy that's envisioned as shining through the right side of the body. Loving kindness, expansion, limitless flow, these are all nuances. Grace, benevolence, generosity, you see why I try to put it in one word, is associated with your inner lover, the part of you that knows how to love and give freely without limit. The part of you that sees the world with gentle, open eyes, a world of new beginnings and new possibilities. This week, the gates of love are open wide for us, and each day we focus on one aspect of this soul stream of love. Like all the divine soul streams, love is both newly ever flowing from an infinite divine source and already deeply rooted in our own soul. We enter the soul stream by making conscious connection with it. This week, we will continue to expand our flow of love through our intention, our thoughts, our words, and our actions. With open eyes, we, that's funny, it's misprint, I like it though. We will look for and find the countless opportunities hidden with each day to receive, experience, and share love, drenching ourselves in these expanding possibilities. In affirmation form this week, I connect with the Infinite One through love. I grow by awakening my inner lover. Day 1. I already explained that to you. My love within a higher love. It's written nicely, but I'll skip it. To encapsulate the energy of this day in one word, expanding. And this is today. Today is a wonderful day for expanding in love. Let your love extend up towards a higher love, out towards your loved ones, and deeper inwards, nourishing yourself as well. Today, we're expanding our view of love's possibilities by seeing through any illusionary limits we have placed on the love we can feel and the loving kindness we can share.
So I get, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, what does love mean? Because is it a feeling? Is it an action?
Let's pause here. But if we get back to this, we will be on the daily practice part. But let's pause. I will have this Rumi quote that's on here, though. He says, if this world is too small for you, fly to love. Fly to the mountain of closeness. You are the phoenix. So what is love? Oh, I'm in the seat of answer man, huh? That's my question, huh? What is love? To me, it's everything from if you would say, I love playing tennis. I love my grandma. It includes all of these things. I love what I do as a rabbi, you might say. I love anything you put into that is touching into an experience that we're calling love. Now, when we then map it onto a relationship, it gets more problematic. We declare it as I'm in love. You know, it's a wonderful phrase, in love. I use that a lot as I'm thinking about this. You know, in love, like I'm in an ocean of love. I'm in love. And you know, when I felt in love with somebody, kind of feels like that. You know, the world looks different, feels different. It has all those new possibilities and everything like that. And I know we tend to crash in our human experience of it soon after and project and all those things. But my feeling is that does not make that experience of being in and within love any less real. Maybe it just means I was window shopping. I'm not quite there yet.
So, I mean, I guess for me as a rabbi and thinking about Judaism, you know, in less than mystical terms, it's about action, because I can say I love somebody. It doesn't mean I treat them well.
Love in action. Yeah.
I mean, and I think Judaism really kind of emphasizes action much more than feeling or faith or any of those things.
Yeah.
So, I can say I love you, but I could treat you really badly. And to me, that's not love, right?
Yeah.
So how do you, because I think a lot of people, it's like they have feelings. I feel spiritual. And then what does that mean? I connect to God, but how do you embody that in the world, right?
Well, we are two wonderful points on the ladder, you and I, intersecting. And I think mystically first. It's just the way my mind works, and Jungian and all like that, psychologically first. And you're talking action first. And I agree with you. If I had to just do one, it would be action first. And in fact, so when I was writing of what I could make up 100 spiritual exercises to do today to do this. Of course, they wouldn't be as good as the one you'd make up for yourself. But I would tell you that each day so far, what I've written a breathing exercise, a breathing of love in and out, which to me works more on the spiritual side. And then I have a walking exercise. A walking is if I'm walking deeper into love with every step. To me, that works. But then the third thing I wrote is act. Choose to surprise a loved one with a generous gift of love. By choosing and taking this one concrete action today, you anchor love in your daily life and make it that much more tangibly real. And that could be said even stronger, which you probably would. To me, the invisible is more real, but I'm wrong. Bring it into, even from that point of view, the reason that we're here is to bring more of this stuff, this love, this holiness, whatever word you want to use, into the world. Mm-hmm. And that is through action. Mm-hmm. And that's why that it's a nice definition of mitzvah, connecting action. Yeah.
Because, we pray every day, the Shema, right? And part of it is you shall love God. What does that mean? Loving God. And if loving God means sitting, in a meditation session and just connecting to God, period, end of story. I think it's always about how you then take that and go out and live it, which I don't think you disagree with, right?
I totally agree with. And in fact, in many traditions, especially ours, we'll find sayings that say, if you can't love the person in front of you and act and do love, be loving with, give love to them, how can you act? How can you say you're loving something that you cannot see? So it's the vital. But my hope would be that whether we get to experience the full connection through action, or whether we get to action by experiencing a different connection and bringing it to action, either way, I would just hope and bless us with having as full an experience of as many of the levels of it as possible.
No, I like your 3-step thing. You do the breathing exercise and the walking and then the action. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
I don't know how apropos it is to say this now, but I like Dennis Prager's attitude about or words about loving God.
Yeah.
Said really? Loving God is very difficult, and God knows it.
That's cool.
Yeah. And we might say, God knows that's true. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
Then we have to define God too, but we're not going to do that.
That brings up something that I would like to say more clearly. The reason I care so much about defining and touching and connecting with what I call these soul streams: love, freedom, joy. These are because these have been called divine qualities. And as we said, the way to touch God is to start by loving people. Another way, another level of it would be to tap into these qualities within us as much as we can. Because my best experience is I don't have an image of God. I can't do much with the word. But if I think of it, if I personally define God as infinite love, infinite wisdom, infinite peace, infinite joy, infinite truth, infinite strength, infinite power, and I'm tapping into some part of it, that may be as close as I'm going to get. But it feels more accessible to me. If that was said clearly enough. So Lisa, what's in that nice smile you have?
I was just thinking that if we're told that we're made in the image of God, then we're also made in the spiritual image of God. And as we think about these things, that will actually bring us more understanding of ourselves and the divine.
Amen. Definitely. Yeah. So how about this basic premise that taking 7 weeks and looking to connect with things like love, peace, wisdom, beauty, harmony might be worth doing? Because if so, then you got a way into counting the Omer. And if you want clues as to what's in each day, you can read any of the people who have taken their shot at it, or I can send you mine, or you can make up your own. But and if all we did was say, you know what, I'm going to keep focused on love this week, and we could find a way to remember that and do an action with it that would likely be complicated enough.
How do you count the Omer when the bombs are falling all around you?
Yeah.
A tough one.
How do you
It's hard to
pray?
think about love and peace when that's happening.
Impossible. But how do you pray in Auschwitz? They did. They prayed in Auschwitz, and then they put God on trial, and God lost. And then they prayed. These kind of contradictions that's the Jewish ground, you know.
You know, I was doing some research for the service in a couple of weeks. I'm going to talk about the Omer as well. And there's a rabbi who's also a psychologist who said that the very act of sort of counting out loud and tracking your progress is very effective, more effective than if you didn't actually say out loud, this is the, 7th day of the Omer, or the 7th week, and tracking what, where you're going, that really helps a lot.
Yeah.
You may know, you probably know more about that than I do. Maybe you can speak to that.
Oh, no, I just agree with it. My friend Peter, who's one of my soul streamers team, I call it, because there's like 4 friends that they're kind of deep in this process with me. I was talking to him just last week, and he said, you know what, Howard? What I'm getting is that you did a lot today. You really moved this forward. I think you need to acknowledge what you've done, acknowledge what's happened today. And of course, with my brain, I need to say, oh, yeah, get it. there needs to be a step in counting the Omer where we stop, and it's what I mentioned before, and look back on the day and acknowledge, you know what? Here's a success. This happened. So that's part of my process now. And that seems like what you're saying, Rabbi. Seems like not only is it wise that in the counting the Omer system, we're saying this is day 36, week 7, day 6, whatever that is. That's part of the counting, and this is how far we are to the end. In a similar way, it's probably good to count what worked in a day too. And then, as you heard, I heard and let it go, because my habit will be to not be satisfied with it, and that's not a good way to move into a new day.
And he also talks about counting in an ascending order instead of descending order. I mean, of course, there'd be a controversy around, do you count like it's 49 days to go until Shavuot, then 48, as opposed to 1, 2, 3, right?
Both. They would need to, they would, it's done starting at 1 and getting up there, and we'll find commentaries that explain why that's the deep way to do it. And then we'll find commentaries that say why it's exactly the opposite.
Well, I think it's cumulative, right? You're working every day towards a goal, and
Yeah.
you don't want to, sort of like you don't want to diminish holiness. You also don't want to diminish accomplishment. Like now we're down to 1 after 49,
Well, the couple thoughts. One thing about if you're counting down, it's like you're a kid, you go to Disneyland in 29 days, 28 days, 27. That's how they say we ought to think about getting to Mount Sinai, getting to our personal next level of consciousness. So that would be a good way to do it. On the other hand, this is a good way to do it for the reason you just said. But it parallels with another 2 sets of opinions. No, it's the same question actually. On the Sephirot, on working on it, we are working top down.
Mm.
We're working from Chesed, from the highest one, to Gevurah, to Tiferet, and then we're working down the body and down the coarseness of these qualities. And a lot of modern rabbis are saying, now we really need to work up. We really need to start from earth, start from action, and then slowly count our way up. And some people are doing that. What's real? They both work really well. And if we had 2 sets of 49 days, that'd be the way to go. In fact, in the story, there's a parallel to this. It's said that the children of Israel were at the 49th level of degradation, the 49th level of slavery. And that's why God intervened, because one more level and they were irredeemable. That's as far down as you can go. So that's how some interpret the story. So then there's a question, well, okay, so if they're going up from degradation, from grossness, and they get up to 0, what about the next 49 levels of holiness, which there are? So really, there ought to be 2 sets of 49 days. And then the rabbis looked at that and said, no, well, there's a way in which they kind of did both at the same time. So the answer is always going to be yes to all of these things.
Do people have other questions? Should we do a little practice?
Sure. Well, is there anything else that anyone would like to talk about, though? Okay. Let's just do a quick breathing practice. if you all are open to that. And I can walk us through it. Okay. And I'll be incorporating a little bit of days 2 and 3 into the practice as well, because that's how to work. Let's take a moment to notice my breathing and to bless this moment together, where we are turning to the present moment rather than all of our thoughts about it. As I breathe in, I am in this present moment, the only moment of holiness, the only moment where connection is possible with anything or anyone or beyond. So I breathe in connection, and breathing out, I remember that I am not alone, I am not separate. I am connected with each person here, with each of their loved ones, with the people in the Ukraine, and beyond. So with these roots extending down through the earth, touching every one of these branches, rising up beyond into the unimaginable, I myself feel like a tree, a breathing tree. And I put my hand on my heart, which awakens a little feeling of love just in that. And in my heart, I imagine a golden goblet, golden chalice, a place where love can be held and received. Now, just for the next few minutes, when I breathe in, I'm going to breathe in love from all sides. Don't worry about not knowing what that is or if that's possible. Just say, I'm breathing in love. And on each exhale, I'm breathing out love and it's radiating from me on all sides. In love. Out. Love. In love. Out. Love. Let a smile go onto my face as I breathe, for love feels good. Breathing in love. Out love. Breathing in love is like I'm expanding. Breathing out love, it's like I'm radiating. This golden chalice in my heart fills with each in-breath. And with each out-breath overflows. In love. out love. Knowing that I may return to this place anytime I like, even may never leave, but letting go of needing to only be doing this, I let an image of a loved one come into my mind, or a thought of a specific loved one in my life. Breathing in, I breathe in love. Breathing out, my love overflows and touches my loved one, warming them. My heart and my loved one's heart are connected in this flow. I see them and I see them smile too. And I realize that we are indeed in love. Now I take my hand from my chest and I cup it with my other hand in front of me. Like that's the overflowing chalice of my heart. And I imagine in my hand a gift for this loved one that I can give fully. I'd love to give fully. So for a minute, think about that. Is it a thing? Is it a word of encouragement? Is it a text? Is it an email? Is it a forgiveness? See if you can come up with one thing you could give, thing you could give to your loved one today. And if you've thought of something, decide whether you're willing to do this. Will you choose to give this? If you haven't thought of something, it can come to you later. But will you make the choice right now? I will literally give a gift of love to this loved one today. If so, just say it to yourself. I will. And now remembering the smile on your face, imagining, if you would, the smile on your loved one's face. Give your loved one a little bow, a little twinkle of the eye, say, see you soon. And notice yourself back in your breathing. Connected, breathing in love, breathing out love. Expanding as I breathe in love, like I'm larger and more connected and more expansive, and radiating love through every pore and every branch and every root as I exhale. Breathing love, being love. So we give thanks for these few moments of reminder of the reality of love and the opportunity to literally give it. And we set an intention that, for remembrance, that I can choose to return to this practice, to this place, whenever it's helpful. And now feel the dimensions of your physical body. If you've been feeling more expanded than that, you can return to it. You can keep that and return to your physical body. Feel your feet on the ground, your spine, your head, your smile. And whenever you want, open your eyes.
It's interesting, as you did that meditation, you became more and more surrounded by sunlight.
It happens. Did I?
Yeah, really. I peeked a couple times, and first it was a little bit, and now it's like completely suffusing the picture of you.
Well, gosh, that's awesome. Maybe I'll see that on the video of it.
Well,
I'm glowing. Thank you, Ren.
yeah, you really are.
Well, I feel like I are. And if you saw where I actually am, I don't know if I can move this camera a little bit, or we actually can see out the window and the light
Mm.
coming in and the trees.
Mm.
It's I live up in Idlewild in a magnificent place, so it's really feeding me to have nature so present like that.
Thank you, Howard, for sharing your wisdom, your spiritual acuity, your meditation. I think we can all go into the week focusing on love.
Yeah. Thank you for asking to do a practice. I really hadn't pre-planned this more than saying, let's count the Omer and see what questions there are. So that really ought to have been part of it. So thank you for.
Good. Well, thank you. And thanks everybody for being here. So since we've recorded this, anytime anyone would like to do this meditation again, we'll be able to play the recording. It'd be really nice.
How would we find it?
I will put it up on our YouTube channel, and as soon as I have the link, I will send it, and hopefully this one will work.
So I'm guessing, since nobody said too much, nobody said anything that they'd be embarrassed of having heard. Is that true?
Everyone's okay with posting this? I can always make it, what's the word? You can make it public, private, or unlisted.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's okay with me.
Okay.
I will just once again let go of the perfectionism of thinking of how I might have run it if I was doing it for public consumption.
Okay.
I can
All right. Well, everyone have a wonderful Passover week. And
sorry, one last thing. If anybody wants to be on the email list or the Facebook group, gosh, I guess I can just give you my email. Maybe that's simplest. You can tell me that you want to be part of one of these things. Same materials on soulstreamers.net every day, but still.
or people can email me and I can give you Howard's
That would work.
email, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, but I am HJ Magic, letter H, letter J, MAGIC @gmail.
Because he's also a magician, believe it or not.
Semi-retired. I did a show yesterday though.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
And then we have another session with you coming up. This is more of a practical one.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about that? And so people can tune in if they want.
Well, somewhere, I guess in about a month, whenever dated. What is the date?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me look it up.
We'll find
I'll
it.
look it up right now.
Somewhere in about a month, I asked to have a Zoom teaching that I called Money, Mitzvah, and Magic. Well, you can guess of why I like mitzvah. No, it's not money, mitzvah, magic. Sorry. Yeah, that's what it would have been if it was a magician doing it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what it is.
Money, mitzvah, and meaning.
It
And
is on May 12th at 6 p.m. It's a
Yeah.
Thursday evening at 6 p.m.
And the reason is my day job, my actual work, is as a financial planner. And I actually do financial life planning when that's appropriate for people, which is really pointing a financial plan toward how they really want to live. And it's so many tie-ins to the Jewish tradition that I wanted to explore that. So we have that money mitzvah and meaning coming up.
So, Deanne will have the link for the Nankins, and I don't know, Renfro, I don't know who you are. If you want the information, let me know who you are.
Oh, thank you. HJ, letter H, letter J, magic, MAGIC, at gmail.com.
Okay. Thanks again so much, Howard, and everybody for
Nice to
joining
meet you
us.
all.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
See you
Howard.
again.
Howard.
Okay, bye-bye.